Hi guys, Blake here today with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on Upper Lake Taneycomo. It is August the 21st, Saturday, and I'm going to do the one cast for you today. So today we boated up, actually down, boated down here. We're right next to the waterfall, right below C of O. I think this is still C of O's property. This is kind of where this first little cul-de-sac cuts in, and then the flat starts behind us. Today I've got a few different things rigged up, but I'm going to start off with the old trusty pink power worm. I've got that on one of the Bobby Garland 148 ounce jig heads. I've got that on 7X tippet, going to one of the airlock indicators, one of the small ones. I'm setting in about 8-9 foot of water, so I got about 7.5 foot there. So I'm going to start off on that depth, see how that works for me. The Fireman's Tournament is currently underway. I think we had a little under 40 boats participating in the tournament today. And there's a fish just as soon as I got it out there. So a few cool things about this spot at the moment. Number one, I got some chop on the water. Number two, that waterfall is actually making, oh, that fish came off right at the boat. Well, I guess that's an official miss on the one cast today. That waterfall, the water that's coming off of it from the rain that we got early this morning, is causing the water to be a little dingy, kind of messing up the visibility for the fish a little bit, which definitely helps out. And number three, this is right where the deep goes to the flat, and so that transition plus the little bit of chop plus the stained water, all three of those things should ideally help the fishing here. We have not seen, at least that we know of, any big fish come back to the dock yet to be in the holding tank. But that doesn't mean someone doesn't have one in their boat right now. So far I've heard that it's a little slow, but I really haven't seen many of the tournament fishermen yet today, so time will tell. Weigh-in is in roughly 2 hours. Pretty similar to what I was doing yesterday with that Derringer jig. Just looking for the choppy spots on the lake. I'm using a really light line, something like a 6X, a 7X, or a 2-pound line. And I'm casting it out there and letting it sink down, and then I'm really wiggling that indicator every 5 or 10 seconds to give it a little extra action. My wind's about to pick back up. It's been a while since I fished down here and fished the Cooper Creek Flat. I figured I'd come give that a try. I know that is a good, this flat right here below me that goes for the next half mile or so is usually pretty darn good for holding fish. Oh, there was one. He had a hold of it. Might just scoot out here just a touch. Get into slightly deeper water. Seems like there's a little more chop over here. This pink power worm usually does a fairly good job of showing up in stained water. It's kind of the reason I started with it. Real rainy start to the morning. Our tournament started off in pouring down rain, which is not an uncommon occurrence for most of the tournaments. I'm just going to run back here and make sure I still got my depth set right. Like I said, it's pretty important to make sure you're staying within a foot or two of the bottom. And I could probably go just a touch deeper here. We're sitting over about 10 foot of water now. Go just an extra foot there. And the other thing you want to do when you're using the old pink power worm, make sure those fish aren't pulling it off the jig head. It needs to be directly underneath the jig head and primarily straight. Pretty nice temperatures outside today. Now that the sun's starting to pop out, I'd say we might be making our way towards 80 degrees, but it's been a cool 73 to 75 for the most part of the day. When you're fishing the pink power worm out here, you want to, under a float, you want to kind of play around with the length of the worm. I caught whole bunch of moss there. Sometimes they like it when it's a lot shorter, and sometimes they like it longer. Usually it's depending on the flow, but sometimes it doesn't depend on the flow. Sometimes it's just the way they like it. Busy day on the lake today. I've also sent out a number of pontoon rentals. I'm just going to start kind of moving the boat 10 feet here, 15 feet there. Sometimes that's the other trick to fishing with the water off, is just constantly changing spots. I know as we move our way onto this flat, that depth is going to change, so I want to make sure that I'm not fishing too deep. That's it, we're still good. Oh. Yesterday I was talking about how you can kind of tell when you're hitting the bottom, and I just saw it happening. So I'd say my depth finder isn't quite reading the flat up here yet. It's definitely humid outside today, though. No doubt about that. Might switch over and try that jig that I was throwing yesterday if I don't have any more luck here soon. Oh, that was a hit. I will say that if you're trying to get a better chance of staying, for them to bite it a little bit longer, there's a fish. Oh, what did I catch? I don't know that this is a trout. If it is a trout, it is a baby trout. And I mean a baby. Oh my. I'm almost gonna have to say that that's a natural born trout. That is just teeny tiny. Come here. Come here. It is a baby trout. Maybe 6 inches long. But anyway, well, like I was saying, sometimes they will let go of those flies a little quicker when they bite them. But usually, when they bite the pink power worm, they'll hold on to it for a little bit longer than normal. Probably just because it's scented, but I think the same goes for most scented baits. They tend to hold on to them a little bit longer. So if you're having a hard time getting them hooked on like one of the little jigs like we were using yesterday, then you might switch over to the pink power worm and see if you can get them to hold on a little bit longer. It's possible that that fish was stocked, but for the most part they don't stock them that small. Been having troubles with the camera just randomly deciding to shut off. It just did it again there. Couple. I've caught one and had one on. What about you?
Got a few trolling spoons and power worms.
A few trolling spoons? Yeah, I'm throwing a pink power worm right now. That was Jack and Dylan Harris. They are fishing the tournament right now. Said that they caught a few trolling spoons and a few on the pink power worm. And they just came from down lake, so they may have been down by Monkey Island or the landing possibly. maybe even by Taneycomo camps. I know that for some reason trolling spoons down there by Taneycomo seems to work pretty good. Ooh, look at that chop. Oh my. I think I'm gonna reel it in and I'm gonna try a little jig for a second and then we're gonna call it a day. Number one, there is part of my problem. See how that pulled off the hook there? That's exactly what I was talking about. If it looks like that, for some reason they just will not bite. We're going to try that same little Derringer jig that we were using yesterday. I'm going to have to shorten my leader here. Oh. Try this for a couple casts and then we're gonna call it a day. Gotta get back to the dock and start getting ready for weigh-in. Well, a little slower on the action today down here, but I think it's still worth coming down here and giving a try if you're just trying to catch a few fish. Just keep playing around with that length, making sure you're down on the bottom right, Make sure you got the small enough line and try to find some chop. So we thank you guys for watching today. Like and share us on Facebook, and we'll get out here and do it for you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.